Don't you love having technical issues? Well, this is a video on the movie about the Battle of Athens. This is an actual thing that happened. This video is available on YouTube if you want to watch the whole movie. It's, of course, grainy. The aspect ratio is off. It's standard definition and really bad. It looks okay on a smaller panel if you drop it down to the size of the TVs they had in the 80s. It's decent. But I would like to go over this actual event in history besides the dramatization that takes place on TV. I'll just read the placard that's on the title. The Battle of Athens was an armed revolt that gained national attention, attempting to end the control of an entrenched political machine. World War II veterans used force to ensure that on the day of local elections in 1946, every vote was counted as cast. After local authorities locked themselves and the ballot boxes in the jail, veterans suspicious of foul play gathered weapons and ammunition and exchanged fire from this hill upon the jail, which once stood across the street. Jail across the street of this placard. The besieged authorities surrendered. At a meeting in the courthouse, an interim government was set up, followed by the election of the veterans' slate. Slate or state? No, it's an old placard. And it's several sources. It's available everywhere. In McMinn County, Tennessee, in the early 1940s, the question was not if you farmed, but if you're... that's the wrong website. Let's Wikipedia. Why not? The Battle of Athens, sometimes called the McMinn County War, was a rebellion led by citizens in Athens, Tennessee, against the local government in August 1946. I don't think it was just a rebellion. It wasn't the Whiskey Rebellion. This was locals taken. But I'll go over that in a minute. Citizens, including some World War II veterans, accused the local officials of predatory policing, police brutality, political corruption, and voter intimidation. And I will say voter fraud and election fraud. They don't actually say that in Wikipedia. Not that I've read anyway. In 1936, the E.H. Crump political machine based in Memphis, which controlled much of Tennessee, extended to McMinn County with the introduction of Paul Cantrell as the Democratic candidate for sheriff. So these were all Democrats in Tennessee. Huh. Cantrell, who came from a wealthy and influential family in nearby Ottawa, tied this campaign close to the popularity of the Roosevelt administration. And there was a vote grab. I'm not going to read this whole thing because I've got other things to do today. But Paul Cantrell was reelected sheriff in 1938 and 40 elections. It was elected to the state senate in 1942. Okay, so the sheriff and his deputies were paid under a fee system whereby they received money for every person they booked, incarcerated, and released. I thought that was illegal. Because of the fee system, there was an extensive fee grabbing from tourists and travelers. Oh, okay. So I guess that's where the stereotype comes from. We don't like your kind around here. Black eye on everyone. Buses passing through the county were often pulled over, and the passengers were randomly ticketed for drunkenness, regardless of their intoxication or lack thereof. Wow. So, I'll keep going. Cantrell engaged in election fraud. There it is. Both by intimidating voters who voted against him and by allowing ineligible people to vote. The Department of Justice had investigated allegations of electoral fraud in 1940, 1942, and 1944, but had not taken action. Voter fraud and vote control perpetuated McMinn County's political problems. Okay, so this looks like, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it looks like there was quite a bit of chicanery going on, and the World War II veterans who just fought a war came home and saw some really janky stuff going on with their own government. So they took up arms and handled business and started chopping wood. I hope nothing like that ever happens again in this country.
20! You're out of your mind, George. We're the law here, not you. The National Guard's on its way, and they're gonna...
So during a time of crisis, when the entire world was at war, these honorable men put their lives on the line and sacrificed to protect their country. Meanwhile, some charlatans were back in the States rendering political power with the most shady practices imaginable. All of the things that are coming to light currently, and the more things change, the more they don't. There's a constant throughout history, especially in the United States, that there just seems to be one political party that can get away with a lot more than the other political party, and it's mostly lies, and it's mostly projection. Yeah.